Welcome everybody to Serpentbird Activation with Caleb Box. He goes by the name Mirage of the Illusionist. And he has many different websites, which we'll touch on later, and YouTube channels. And today I want to open up Serpentbird Activation Show with a prayer that I felt would go very well with his website theme, which is occulthealing.net. So basically, I'm going to sing the Gayatri mantra. And then after we do our prayer for humanity here with the Gayatri mantra, and also I want to dedicate it to Caleb's mission, Mirage the Illusionist mission, with his website. To his tagline for the website is that it's dedicated to revealing ancient spiritual teachings to heal all nations of people. All right, so here it goes. Hasvahat Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodaya. Yeah. I want you to see something real quick out there, Mirage.
All right, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I just want to say, for you inviting me on your platform. I want to say Hotep, Namaste, and Ashe to everybody out there listening, and ready to drop some science.
All right, so real quick here, because we're celebrating the existence of the occulthealing.net website and revealing ancient spiritual teachings, I wanted to break down what this mantra is actually saying in English. It says, there is energy present everywhere, in everything and everyone, including one's own self. Everyone, including oneself, should try channeling all his energy to gain pure enlightened intelligence, and one is and always will be part of this powerful energy, and therefore attempt to make the best use of it.
That's beautiful. Very true.
I forgot to get out my trusty tobacco, but I'd like to tell everyone that I have it with me here as part of my rituals. I do a lot of work with tobacco, and what I do is I put it in the palm of my hand, and then to strengthen a prayer, you can actually just pray with it between your hands. And then at the end, what I do, instead of lighting things on fire, sometimes you don't have time to like have a little shell or don't have a lighter handy. So if you have tobacco, and even if you smoke cigarettes, this is actually a really good way to not smoke cigarettes anymore, is to learn how to pray with tobacco, because then you're actually activating your truth, and you're realizing the actual reason for this plant is to pray with it and to let your prayer rise to heaven. So even if you smoke your cigarette, what you can do is you can tear off like a little part of the end of the cigarette before you smoke it, and do the prayer, and then smoke your cigarette, and it will probably change the whole reality for you of like why you're smoking it in the first place, or you'll have an insight, or you'll start having more spiritual guidance. And so I'm not saying people shouldn't necessarily smoke, because it's your choice, but if you incorporate prayer along with the ritual of smoking, it can alter your whole your whole process. So Amen. And Caleb, let's get into the questions here. So explain why you have a strong passion for helping humanity reach their full potential.
Well, for me personally, I just seen a lot of different things, a lot of different situations in the world. I've been through a lot. Grew up in a rough part of the city, and just seen a lot of things happening to people, and a lot of things happen to myself too, especially. So in one particular case is that uh, about maybe 10 years back, I say, I had sort of like, I don't know exactly what was happening to me. It was like a sort of an attack maybe, or something with the health. I was going to the doctors and stuff like that, and doctors couldn't find out what was wrong and what was wrong with me. I was having anxiety attacks and stuff like that. So it brought me into the topics of healing. I was essentially trying to heal myself. I was going through every ancient teaching, scripture. Like I was doing every kind of meditation, every kind of yoga. I was switched my diet up to veganism. Was trying everything, and I don't know exactly what healed me, but essentially through the road, I healed myself. And what happened was I started communicating with other people. They seen the change in me. They seen how I was growing. They seen my face clearing up, just my whole presence was, more positive. And I started giving information that I found to them. And then I seen the changes within them, within my friends and stuff like that, and people that were close to me, like people in my family. And it made me want to do it on a large scale. Like I never felt positive energy like that before when you actually help somebody, because early on when I was younger, I was a little selfish and stuff like that. I wasn't really, I was always into knowledge. I was always into, learning new things, but I was coming from a more selfish aspect. I was only thinking about myself. And I didn't really experience, giving somebody else that positive energy. So when I did it for close people around me, I was seeing the changes in them. It was giving me a certain energy, and it showed me a new light in life. So it made me want to do it on a big scale. And people was telling me, they was like, get on YouTube, get a website. I wasn't really into social media like that. It was like, get on social media and spread the message. And that's what really brought me to wanting to change the whole entire world and not just specific people that I'm close to, so that's kind of really how it started.
Wow, it just sounds like the inspiration just kept spiraling over and over until it just kept building for you.
Definitely, yeah. Like it's like once you get the momentum, you can only keep going. And I got addicted to sending positive energy to people, changing their lives and watching the growth in individuals. Like nothing compares to that. And seeing somebody come from the streets, or come from an addiction, or just come from a negative point of view, and then these teachings start working for people, and then they contact you again, and they tell you exactly what's happening, the differences, and how they're affecting other people in their life. That's like really big. Like, I don't know, it's something that you just can't really explain, like the feeling you get. Like
I've had that feeling more than once, and I can totally relate to that and share that experience for sure. And I also have that similar feeling of addiction to, like, almost wanting to help people too much or be invasive. But over the years, I've kind of learned the proper ways to go about that.
Yeah, because it could be the opposite way, like you said. Like you can overexert yourself and give yourself too much. I remember you saying you're a Pisces. That's the Pisces energy, where they give and give, and so it's all about just the balance. You don't want to let people override your specific energy. You want to keep your energy contained, and this is why it's very important to occasionally, especially in a field like we are, where we're dealing with other people and other people's energy. It's very, very important to make sure you're cleansing yourself every once in a while, because we're having conversations, we're taking on other people's negativity, and it will stick to your aura field. So that's why, it's important to get the sage in, the detox in, to getting back in Nate. Yup, you got it.
I have this little desk set up temporarily today for the show, and I was like, I knew I needed my ritual tools because of the occult healing show, and so I have my sage here. I have this beautiful sweetgrass braid, and just smelling it, like that's why I haven't burnt much of it. I'm waiting for a big ceremony to burn it, but just a whiff of sweetgrass can literally shift you out of a pretty big cloud of negativity, I would say. And I also have my cedar wand, which I made from some cedar trees in Ohio.
Yeah, definitely. Also keeping the crystals, crystals around you and stuff like that. Also I teach about keeping magnets, because of the Wi-Fi and just the energy coming from the computers and the cell phones and stuff. Is really important just to keep your energy high. Even if you have good intentions of helping other people, it's just about just cleansing yourself and keeping that balance. So wherever you're at in your journey, if you're the person who gives too much or you're not giving enough, you just want to get right in the middle, and you'll start to see the changes in your life. I mean, like I said, it's amazing. I've seen changes with people close by to me all around the world, and including myself. And it's just amazing how just shifting the perspective will change your life. And everything starts from there.
So before I move on to another topic, I'm just going to kind of reiterate it with what we said already, and just ask you what you think your favorite self-transformation tool might be.
It's so many, basically, first of all, I'm gonna give a couple, but detoxing, and not just detoxing the body, but also detoxing spiritually and emotionally. And I think that has, in my personal journey, that has helped me the most, And what I mean by detoxing spiritually and emotionally as well is that taking a break from the phone, the cell phones, taking a break from social media, the computers, if you can, taking a break from people, where you just come into the self, you spend a lot more time in nature, taking a break from, certain foods and drinks and stuff like that, just taking a break. Everybody needs a break. And detoxing as well, detoxing with herbal supplements, and with just drinking water. Sun gazing is very important. If people want to get more into that, I suggest you definitely look up how to sun gaze correctly, because I was one who didn't do it correctly at first. But yeah, sun.
So let's stay with that one. Let's stay with the sun gazing, because that's really resonating with me, and like this fire energy back here. Right. So just so that you can kind of demystify that process, can you kind of be specific, like maybe 3 to 5 steps?
Okay, well, with sun gazing, first you want to make sure that you are either doing it in the first hour of sunrise or the last hour of sunset, because and you'll notice when you look at the sun directly, it won't affect your eyes like if you were looking at it, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's very important that you do that on those specific times. So the reason why I messed up is because I just heard it. I read about it, and I was like, I'm about to go do this right now. Like, I went outside, and it was messing with my eyes a little bit the first couple of days I did it. But then I went back, read it correctly. I was like, okay, first hour of sunrise, last hour of sunset. And also, when you do it for the first time, you want to make sure you only do it for about 10 to 15 seconds, your first encounter. Because what you want to do is rebuild the energy in your eyes, because essentially what this is it's an electrical current coming from the sun, because a lot of people believe that the sun really is a ball of fire, but from my understanding and from my research, it's actually electricity. And what you're getting is an electrical charge, and it's actually waking up parts of your brain. You know, parts of your brain that are dormant, specifically the pineal gland, but also just other parts of the brain that a lot of us are not using that are connected to the subconscious mind. So the first step would be, if you do it in the morning, that first hour, only do it for 10 to 15 seconds. And the next day, if you do it the next day, then you want to add 10 more seconds, you know, and then just keep gradually going up, you know, every day. And you'll notice the difference. You'll notice that you won't be as hungry anymore because you're getting nutrition from the sun. Essentially, all the nutrition and all the energy that you need is um, right there for us, right in the sky. So, um, you'll notice that you'll be more in a positive mood. You'll notice that um, things won't just affect you as much. You know, like other people's attitudes, and you know, they just won't affect you. You know, and you'll notice a surge in creativity as well. Like I said, you're opening up dormant parts in the brain when you're staring at the sun. So another thing that you want to do is you want to do it while you're barefoot, barefoot on soil, you know, not pavement, not, you know, concrete, and preferably not grass either. But if it's grass, it's good enough, but preferably soil, because what's going to happen is you're going to get this charge from the earth as well. And you're going to have this energy going up through your feet, you know, going up through your chakras, while the sun energy is coming through your pineal gland and crown chakra, and it's going to meet right here at the heart chakra. And you're going to have a certain charge in your heart chakra area that's going to affect your whole entire aura field. Because I know in a lot of times, and just, you know, a lot of this information, a lot of us are always focused on the third eye, you know, but the most important area, again, from my perspective and research and stuff, is the heart area. Having the love and empathy for the earth, for yourself, for other people. This is going to essentially transform you to another level. Even if you do activate your third eye, if you don't have the heart, if you don't have the empathy and the love for yourself and for other living beings, it won't mean anything. So that's why I see the heart area as the most important. And by sun gazing barefoot, you, like I said, this energy that's earthing yourself, so you're grounding yourself at the same time, but you're bringing high energy through your crown chakra as well, and it's going to create this balance of the earth, which is the feminine, and the sun, which is the masculine. Is That's the key point here in spirituality, is balancing masculine energy and feminine energy. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I think that for a beginner, that's basically it. You know, again, just to go over it again. You know, first hour of sunrise, barefoot, and only 10 to 15 seconds your first try, and add on 10 more seconds gradually. You know, you want to gradually develop yourself with this practice, and it's very powerful. So, but yeah, I think that's about it for beginners.
Okay, well, let me help out with that before we go to the next topic. So let's say I'm standing in Sedona on a vortex, which would be like the ultimate sun gazing experience, right? In a vortex and very sacred mountain region or something. And then I have bare feet. I go out there an hour sunrise time. Take 10 to 15 seconds staring directly at the sun.
Yes.
Directly. And then what would I be doing with my breath, like to connect all these elements, like my feet, maybe my hands, like visualizing my chakras? How would I kind of handle this 15 seconds?
Well, you kind of want to get yourself like as if you were meditating, you know, you want to let go, you know, you want to loosen all your muscles, your shoulders, you know, you just want to empty your mind, you know, and another thing too, you want to make sure your eyes are wide open as well, because I know a lot of people, like, you know, they squint, but if you open your eyes as wide as they can go. You can also do mantras, humming, you know, to raise the frequency. But also with the breath, I'm glad you brought that up, because the breath is very, very important. It's the most important thing in spirituality is the breath, is your breathing. And you want to make sure you're deep breathing. You want to make sure you're expanding your diaphragm when you're taking in breath, and the opposite when you're breathing out. You want to visualize the breath going all the way down to the seat of your soul, or the root chakra, I should say, the bottom of your spine. You want to visualize your breath going all the way down. And then of course when you get farther in your practice, you can visualize your breath going out throughout your whole entire body. But I do know that a lot of us are accustomed to shallow breathing, so you just want to go as far as you can as far as you're breathing, and it might make you feel a little lightheaded, because again, a lot of us are accustomed to breathing from in the neck area and the upper chest area. You want to bring it all the way down, and practice with that. So you might want to practice with your deep breathing and also your earthing as well before you even start sun gazing. You want to connect to the earth energy, because we're here. A lot of us are wearing shoes and sneakers and stuff. We're not connecting to the earth properly, so we're unbalanced. And this is what's getting us in just an unbalanced way mentally.
Yeah, we actually call that like reversing your polarity.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because what's happening is being so unbalanced, you become polarized. You become, you're in this mind state where it's either black or white, where you want to bring it into a holistic view, just like holistic health, you want to start seeing things in its whole manner, and getting connected with the earth again. This will help your mind become whole again. You're accessing the feminine again, because right now, of course, on this planet, even though it's starting to change, as you can see already, the feminine has been suppressed so much. The specific feminine energy of the earth, of nature, and just what the feminine really represents, spirituality, and empathy for others, it's been suppressed for so long. And connecting back with the earth, simply walking barefoot about 5 minutes a day, if you can, because I know people have busy schedules and stuff like that. So do what you can,
Yeah.
even though, even if you live in a cold area, if you can do it as long as you can, it's, just trying is going to help. You're going to start seeing a difference in your energy, connecting yourself with the feminine. And then once you feel like you're ready, you're breathing properly, this is when you can start initiating the sun gaze, and it's so powerful. You're going to see a good difference. So hopefully that answered your question.
Absolutely. And I just want to let everyone know that I have to do something with my computer while you're answering the next question. So I'm going to duck out for about 30 seconds there. And then, so let's go to the next question. All right, I wanted to share with everyone that Mirage is living in Philadelphia. I'm not sure exactly where. Where are you in Philadelphia?
Right outside of the city, in a small town called Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. So right directly out the city, outside of Philadelphia.
But Philadelphia is a very large metropolis, so I'm sure being a little outside is probably a good thing for you, what you do.
Yeah.
So what's it called, Phoenixville?
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes.
That's a great symbol. That's awesome. All right, so I'm just going to share with everyone a couple things about Serpentbird here. In 2003, I'd say roughly, is when the Iraq War began, and I felt called at that time to go to Philadelphia. I'd never been there before, and I went with a group of activists from Cleveland. At the time, I was living a short little span in Cleveland, and I got into activism, mostly marching in the streets and carrying signs, which I feel isn't the best form of activism. But I did get on NPR for protesting in Cleveland. It's another story, but I did get make some waves there. And then I went to Philly, and I can't remember the name of the conference, but it was through the Not in Our Name people that we kind of like all migrated for a conference. And I just remember the rawness of the city. I mean, the grittiness, and I think a lot of cities have that. But I really firmly believe that cities like Cleveland, Detroit, even Columbus, Ohio, like we all have that Eastern grit, you know, where, you know, other generations of our parents have worked really hard and have come from struggle. And those cities produce great visionaries because we all have to be familiar with extremes of struggle versus success. And I just really honor people who can live in those areas because I feel like we make a really good impact because there's those extremes. There's that black and there's the white, and in color and races, and there's more of a spectrum of, you know, diversity of people that are living there. Like right nowadays, there's a lot of control in place to where cultures are being kind of dumbed down and buildings are kind of like more gray, and just like there's just not a lot of culture anymore. There's a lot more gated communities in the United States. And I think so from being from Philadelphia, I just wanted to learn more about your experience of like working with that raw energy and extremes.
Well, I mean, I can say early on I was definitely caught up in the action. But like you're right, like because um you're exactly right, because they say in spirituality that you have to go through a point in time where you're broken down so you can see the whole of everything. You have to go through a lot of pain so you can have understanding. You know, you have to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I had to bump my head a lot of times. I had to, you know, get into trouble. You know, like I didn't do good in school. I ended up dropping out. Got my GED later on, but also, you know, I got in trouble with the law a couple times. Not nothing too big, but I was caught into, you know, the drugs and the alcohol and, you know, everything that you can possibly think of. But I wouldn't take it back because it essentially made me the person I am now. It made me. I had to go through hell to see heaven. You know, I had to fall to pieces. That, like I was saying earlier in our talk, about how I had hit a point about 10 years ago where I was completely broken. Like you know, I completely was like, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know. I was like, my life is over. Like I couldn't even work anymore. I couldn't do anything. Like, but that drove me to learning about these healing practices. That drove me, because now that I think about it, if that never happened, you know, we wouldn't be talking right now. Like, you know, I wouldn't have my website.
What you were saying before about having this kind of addiction and reaching out to people, I find myself, you know, with the process of creating the show even, I'm like, when's the next visionary going to cross my path? And I feel like you're beaming out that energy, like, and so we were kind of a vibrational match, really, because it's like, oh, I'm looking for the visionary and he's looking to heal people like crazy, and like, oh, okay, and then somehow the internet brought us together.
That's another thing. Like, you know, the internet is very powerful. It's an essential tool, and specifically dealing with us, it's connecting us together. Because if you notice, we're all spread around. You know, every person that I know that's into spirituality, they'll say their environment, nobody else is interested into this stuff. You know, they're having a hard time. You know, people are not understanding. But what the internet did for us was it put us on a platform where we can connect with the rest of our soul group around the planet. You know, and it's putting us back together. What's happening is, you know, we're becoming a force. You know, like the healing force we're a force to be reckoned with right now. Like, so
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where you came from. Like I said, dealing with the inner cities and not even just the situations, but also the pollution, the fact that we're in environments where everything is in straight lines. That's unnatural, and that affects your psychology. So a lot of these things, also the food quality, the water quality is lower in the inner cities, again affecting the psychology of people. And then people wonder why when they go there, everything is off because we're in straight lines, these buildings, we're in boxes. Well, the box formation constricts energy. This is why in nature there is no, I mean, it's art, it's sacred geometry in nature. You cut open an orange, you see sacred geometry. You cut open any kind of fruit, look at these plants, look at the leaves and stuff, you'll see sacred geometry, which is nature, which is feminine energy, which it doesn't have a structure. It just grows how it grows. So that is the natural process. That's the natural environment the human being is supposed to be in. But then when you take the human being, put them in a box, the pollution, the poor quality of water, the poor quality of food, also the trauma we experience when we're born. The child is not supposed to be out of the mother's arms the first 3 days the child is born. So when you're gripped up by doctors, needles stuck into you, this is creating trauma that affects you for the rest of your life. So the problem is that a lot of us are in a traumatized state.
Yes.
Like even when you first come out your mother's womb, the bright lights, those fluorescent lights, it's unnatural. It's blinding. That's why they're crying. They're like, what the hell is going on? So, but yeah, it's traumatized.
Let's stop there because you have a really awesome video. It's sort of like it was a pivotal moment for me when I saw it, because I was actually feeling the feelings that, how do I say this? Like your video where you're talking about healing the Fool card and using the energy of the moon. I forget the exact title, but it's a very strong video, and I saw it like just when I need to see it, and that's actually kind of what helps me solidify my connection to you, because it's like, oh wow, that one really just grabbed me, and now it's time to connect with you. So and then before I ask you the question, I was going to say I feel that you do have a gift when it comes to wanting to help people transform, but more than that, like transforming from those dark traumatic spaces, which a lot of people I feel maybe want to do, but maybe they're not as talented or as gifted. I think you have just that natural, like I said, or like you said, the compassion, the heart energy, and I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are like counselors or coaches, and they're just doing it because it's like a fad or it's hot right now. And everyone wants to do spiritual coaching. Everyone wants to do that, but when it's not coming from someone who like you, you're experienced the streets, you experience hardship, you've had to go through a lot of density in emotional states, and those kind of people are obviously going to have this like amazing strength. So maybe you can just tell everybody like a little bit about more about how you would help someone with a trauma or like childhood issues.
Okay, so essentially what dealing with traumas and emotional traumas and things, the beautiful thing about the human brain is that you're never stuck. You can always come out of it. Scientists used to believe that when you were a certain way, when you're a certain age, you could no longer change. So according to your childhood and according to your birthing, whatever effects that created, you will be like that for the rest of your life. So the beauty of it is that you can change. Now, how you change that is a hard step, because what you have to do is actually look at yourself. We've been programmed for so long to look outside the self. We've been programmed to be distracted by so many things, TV, music, even food, sex, whatever you can name, everything is pushing outside the self. So they're bringing up that video. I had did it because from an astrology standpoint, I understand what the moon represents. The moon represents your emotional stability, so there's certain teachings, just doing the knowledge about the moon and what it represents, how it represents your mother in your family life. So again, it's going all the way back. It's going all the way back to the time when you were first born to you're about 7, 8, 9, even later. But those are, of course, those are the time periods that, energy is creating who you are, So in meditations, you're going to have to go deep within yourself. You're going to have to go in what they say, face your demons, because when you've carried certain negative energy for so long within yourself, they actually physically manifest. They actually turn into what you would call a demon. So this is what they mean by facing your demons. You want to look at these certain situations that you're essentially running from. Like, let's just say you have an addiction. You have an alcohol addiction. Of course, alcohol is a representation of the water element. Somebody who's an alcoholic, automatically you can tell it's often an emotional problem, because he's trying to cure that emotional problem. So what you would have to do is you would have to sit down, write down exactly what are some of the feelings that you have when you really do need to drink or do whatever addiction is. And what's going to happen is you keep asking these questions to yourself, you're going to go farther and farther back to a specific situation that you remember. And you have to, and I know it's easy to say let go, but how you can do it is that when you're in your mental realm and you're thinking about a situation that really hurts you, one thing you can do, it's a technique in psychology that they do that help out victims, is that you want to take yourself outside of your body in the image, and also you want to shrink the image, because a lot of times the situations that happen to us, when we think about it, it's big in our minds, it's full in color, you can hear everything, we're inside of the body, as we're thinking about it. What you want to do is, when you're thinking about it, you want to take yourself out of it and look at yourself. Because what this is creating is a disconnection between the situation. You want to look at yourself. Then you want to use your mental power to shrink the image and also discolor it. You want to take the color out of the image, because this is all creating a disconnection. And you can also use this the opposite way too. When you want to think of something that really good happened to you, you want to put yourself in the body, because a lot of times, let's just say you envision yourself performing. A lot of times when it happens to be good things, because we're programmed to always focus on the negative, we're seeing it from outside, ourselves. Like, we'll see ourselves performing, but you have to put yourself in there, in the body of you performing, where you're like holding the mic, you can feel the mic, you can see the presence of the crowd, you can feel the heart beating, you can feel yourself losing your breath, you can see the lights, how the lights are affecting, and like you want to get into it. And this is, like I said, so this is a technique that you can use to help you get out of those emotional situations, but essentially a lot of those situations and memories are stored in the root chakra. That's where you kind of store them at. So where you're going to have to go is down there where they consider hell. That's the connection between in the scriptures. You want to go inside your root chakra, face these memories, and actually take yourself out of the memories. And of course, it's not going to cure it right away. This is a process. You want to keep working at it. And this is why it's so hard, because essentially you might try it one time. Most people might try it one time, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And they'll be like, I still feel bad. This is a process. So doing a lot of meditation and just looking at yourself, and also accepting yourself. When you look in the mirror, I think people don't give themselves a lot of credit. Like, when's the last time you said that you loved yourself? Because they say that's egotistic, and but it's a difference between being egotistic and actually experiencing empathy for yourself and others. So you want to say that even though I messed up in this memory, it's not, nobody's perfect. You want to look at yourself in the mirror and actually verbally say it to yourself. Say, I love you. Like, I respect you for continuing to move on regardless of what's thrown in your way. I want to thank you for holding all this pressure that you hold on your shoulders. I want to thank you for not blowing up and going to jail. Anything you can think of, like, you want to thank yourself. You want to love yourself and say it, every morning. That's what I tell some people. I'm like, every morning, get up and say, I love you. I'm thankful. I thank you for waking up today. And then you want to thank the energy, the universe.
Yeah.
Just this stuff alone is going to change your whole vibrations over a period of time, like over a couple of weeks of doing this every morning. Where another technique I do is when you first wake up, and also when you're about to go to sleep, write 10 things down that you're thankful for. It could be, I'm thankful that I have this hoodie on right now. Some people don't have the money to afford clothes. I'm thankful that I have a computer right now. I'm thankful that I can use my legs, that I can use my eyes. Simple things that you can write down every morning and every night, and this will affect your emotional mood. And what's going to happen is that, because emotions, they run everything in your life, you're going to start receiving more things that stimulate your emotions in that positive way. So better things will start happening to you. People will start smiling more to you. It happened to me. Like, I started doing these techniques, and before then, everybody used to say they were scared of me. I used to walk around, they'd be like, "You look so mean," and stuff like that. And I said, I'm serious too. Like, you look so mean, and everybody used to be scared of me. And then I started doing these techniques. I switched my diet. I opened myself. Which was really hard, to open myself to the love of the universe, where I was saying, like, look, I accept everybody. It's no longer about me. I accept myself and I accept everybody. And over time, when I would walk down the street, now it's like people, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, at first I was like taken back. I'm like, oh, hey, how are you doing? Like, like, and yeah, like, people started giving gifts to me. They started, offering help. They'd be like, "Oh, so what do you do? I'll help you out with that." I'm like, wow, like, it starts changing your reality. So
Yes.
it's hard work, but it pays off in the long run. So I just want to make that clear. Like, in the beginning, yes, it will be hard for you to really look at your situations, take yourself out. And another thing about blaming other people, what you want to understand as well, is that everybody is running off certain programs that they were taught by in their early situations, their childhood. Essentially nobody is trying to do bad. Everybody thinks there's a just cause for what they're doing. So when you look at it from that perspective, and you realize it's just the program, how they was raised, the trauma that they experienced when they were a child, this is the reason why they're acting this way. So you don't want to put blame on them either, by coming from that perspective, to understand that this is not the true them. These are programs that were created for them. But if you take those programs away, I'm a prime example, then you'll see the beauty in the person, everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, you take those programs away and they get to a point of balance, you'll see the beauty in the person. So I know that was real long-winded, but
Well, I have like a few more things I feel like we shouldn't leave out, and you can just take your pick and maybe blend them all together, but I want you to touch on your musical talent and share that with everyone, because I have the sense, I'm going to be sending this video out to just the people I'm connected to, either through my YouTube or my Facebook, and there's some really great people down in Phoenix, Arizona. It's got kind of that gritty, raw vibe, not the Philly raw vibe, but it's got a different kind. And I could just see you almost like maybe connecting with some of the Phoenix crew for your music. And anyway, I'm just kind of saying this out loud because it's just so fun to produce these videos, because you just never know how the connections are going to end up keep spiraling out there. And I just really, I'm just always excited to see, like, okay, where are these videos going to like sprout and take root? So touching on your music, and then touching on back to occulthealing.net, you talk about your website reveals the different ancient spiritual teachings, and like, I think what I wanted to ask earlier was, how can you explain to people about the different spiritual teachings? What are they, and how do you feel you can explain them to people in a way that they can understand? Because the thing is, like, I feel like the internet is saturated with Indian mantras, with maybe some information about Hermetic laws that came out of Greece. And then also it gets kind of meshed because Greece, it seems like when you look for the Hermetic teachings, they kind of come out of Egypt too. And not me having not been in that part of the world, it's a little confusing. Like, where does this stuff actually come from? Is it translated properly? And I think you're working with all those materials and you're kind of like processing them, and you're becoming sort of like a translator for the people in the street, or just the common person. So touch on that too.
Okay, so when it comes to what I study as far as ancient teachings, I'm gonna get to the music after this, but when it comes to studying these things, you're exactly right. It is a little confusing. And I think this is why a lot of people turn their backs on, deep spirituality. They're like, I don't, because there's so many different avenues and there's so many different ways of thinking. It's like, which one is right? But the thing that I found out, and a lot of people that I've studied, people like Santos Bonacci and I believe I'm saying his name right, Michael Tarson. If I'm not, sorry, but Michael Tarson and Santos Bonacci.
I've heard the name, but I don't know the connection.
I think it's Tarson or Terracin or something to that nature. But these guys, along with my own research, and what they did was found the common aspects of all these teachings. Essentially, all these teachings are really one teaching. They're just coming from different perspectives. And that's what I really found out. Like, I get into teachings of, first, my biggest one is astrology, and then people will be like, well, there's so many different kinds of astrology. Well, I tried to learn all of them, because there's certain aspects in Western astrology that Eastern astrology has, like the importance of the moon. Because in Western astrology, of course, the main importance is the sun. And then, but in Eastern astrology, the main importance is the moon. The moon is the most important planet because it represents, again, the emotions, essentially how your emotions are filtered in your mind. But in Western astrology, the sun is representing the ego self of you. So it's essentially not the true self, though you're showing personality traits, but it's the ego part of you. Because then what happens when you get into deep spirituality and meditation, you take the ego away. It's also the what you strive to be. Like, you at your best self, like you being a Pisces, you at your best self, you're gonna expound on that Piscean energy of being the savior of the world, of being the empathic person that connects to and is building everybody up emotionally. So I just bring the connection in, because essentially Eastern astrology and Western astrology is the same thing. They're just showing different aspects, So let's just think about, yoga and things like that. Yoga is very powerful in understanding, and it connects to astrology. A lot of people don't know that. Everything connects. Herbalism and alchemy, it all connects to astrology. Tarot cards connects to all this as well, to different parts of the body. The chakra systems connect to this. Acupuncture, massage therapy, all these things connect all into one thing when you just learn about them. So my main mission was to take these and make them practical, because like we were saying before, a lot of people back away from this stuff. They're like, it's a little bit too iffy. But what I'll do is I'll put it in life situations. I'll take your astrology chart and show you how it works in a real life situation. I'm not going to, unless you're that person that does like to go all out and go deep under the waters, I can get there too, but for the person that's on the edge, it's like iffy, I'll bring it to them and show them that the moon energy represents their mother. I'll show them how the fourth house in astrology represents their home life. I'll show them how the north node of the moon represents your destiny in this life, or how the south moon represents, the south node of the moon represents, what you already accomplished, your skill sets that you already have, and which essentially what you need to back away from a little bit, honor your skill sets, but you don't want to stay there, you know. So let's even palm reading. You know, all this connects to astrology and learning about how the fingers, your index finger represents Jupiter. That's astrology. Your middle finger represents Saturn. Your ring finger represents the sun, and your pinky finger represents Mercury. You know, and using certain mantras, mudras, hand mudras, and hand symbols, they connect in certain energies within your astrological chart, your DNA, because essentially what astrology is telling you is that your body is the universe. These planets are within you. Everything outside of you is just a representation of what's inside of you. So you have a moon within inside of you. You have a sun, you know, and when you do these certain hand symbols, you're activating these certain energy.
Hold it up a little bit higher.
Yeah, sorry. You're activating, which this represents the Trinity, which is the symbol of balancing the masculine and feminine energy for you, masculine and feminine coming together to create a new creation. Again, using the example of your mother and your father coming together and birthing you, but you are neither your mother or your father. You know, you have qualities from them if you were raised with them, and of course through the DNA and through your ancestry line, but you're a whole new being with a whole new mission. This is why you can't even let your parents stop you from your mission in life, because their mission is different from yours. You know, like, so you were born for a whole new path. And this simple, I mean, there's so many different interpretations for this.
If you show somebody a chart and you see, like, there's so many different varieties from, like, okay, the year you're born, the time you were born, and then what the astrology and all the planets were doing at that time, it's like, it will show you how unique a soul is, you know, because that particular snapshot of what an astrology chart looks like happens like a camera shot of, you know, something that will never happen again.
Right. True. Your specific astrology chart will never ever happen again. It's only for you. It doesn't even matter if somebody, because some people would be like, well, what about the people born the exact same time and stuff like that? It's still different. This is why you have to have the exact minute and the exact second, and also the exact place you was born. You know, all these come into factors. So, you know, bringing that back, you know, it's going to show you, it's just bringing you the knowledge of self, you know, basically what I do astrology for, and so many other practices, but astrology I love the most because basically the sessions that I have with people turn into like a psychiatrist session, you know, like it's like because I'll say something, let's just say you have some problems in the fourth house, which represents your childhood, your mother, and, you know, just your home life. And I'll say maybe Mars is there, maybe there were some disturbances there, and then they'll come out, they're revealing stuff of themselves, and what's happening is they're healing themselves through revealing, because they might not be connected to me. They don't know, you know, so it's healing for somebody to just let it out. And they're like, okay, you understand it. How did you know that? Like, and it just feels good for somebody to be like, yes, I did have problems in the early childhood, and, you know, we can talk about it more. And then another thing is, too, people ask about is, well, am I stuck like this forever? Like, according to my planets, but that's not the case either. You learn about this so you can change. You know, let's just say, all right, you do have the Mars in the fourth house because how you were raised is usually how you raise your household. But now that you're aware of it, consciousness, because consciousness, being conscious is being aware. Now that you're aware of this dark part of you, now you can change it. So when you do have children and you do have your own household, now you can be conscious of how you're treating people in your household, because you're going to go against how you was raised and how it affected you. Now you can change history. You can change reality, you know? So yeah, like another example would be, you know, something with the first house, or let's just say Mars is in the first house, which would make you aggressive person. You know, now that in the first house is the house that people really don't know because it's themselves. Again, we live in an age that we're not paying attention to ourselves, but other people will be able to tell you. You know, like uh, you know, so you can say, all right, now that you know you're an aggressive person, you can watch what you say to people. Because I did a consultation with somebody who had Mars in the first house, and they're like, why do I always get in the fights? Why do people always feel like, you know, why do people feel like they dislike me? And I'm saying, like, well, you have Mars in the first house, so you got to watch the aggression you're giving off to people, you know, because that will make somebody really kind of aggressive. It can be a good thing when you control it, because that can make you bold. It can make you a go-getter. It can make you fearless. But you want to be conscious of the energy you're giving off to individuals, and then it can change for you. So, yeah, so bringing it back to the initial question, like I said, I know I go so far off, but
Well, I thought
about
you went deep into one area, which is really good. And I was just asking about, well, in the beginning, you blended, you know, that all these esoteric sciences are coming together and they
right.
all relate. And then you kind of went deeper into the astrology. But yeah, I want to hear about the music aspect of you. And it sounds like that brings joy. So I think you should tell everyone about that. And then I think we should call it a day.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the thing with the music, you know, I've always wrote music. I started really getting into poetry at first, you know, because I was just fascinated by wordplay. You know, it's like a certain art to it. I just love poetry. I love spoken word. That's essentially that's what got me into hip hop, you know, because it was kind of like that. Even though there's a rawness to it, essentially not all of it though, you know, because there's certain depending on which artist you're listening to. So I was obsessed with wordplay. I was obsessed of expressing myself through that. So even though I did go through some dark periods of how I did music and how I used to, you know, write it and what I was expressing, because again, when I was in those situations, I just explaining my astrological chart, I have Moon in the first house, so I'm just a person who's just going to tell you how I feel, you know. So when I was in those situations when I was younger, when I was maybe 15, and I was in the streets, I was telling exactly what I felt. I was like, you know, I'm out here, like, so. But when I started changing psychologically and I started changing my perspective on things, I started, you know, having a more uplifting message, you know, like I started connecting to who I really was, who I really am. Because again, like you start clearing those programs out from other people, you know, somebody with Moon in the first house, they're going to become whoever they're around, you know. So I had to realize that it wasn't me, you know, that wasn't the true me, you know, but I was around people who was like this. So I became that, you know. And then once I started growing and started seeing that, it showed in my music. I was taking those programs out, you know, and I was like, this is who I am, the loving person. Like I'm a nice person. I'm a loving person. Like, you know, I want to help people out. So essentially what I did is put that in my music. Like, you know, the latest song that I have out that I just put out a couple weeks ago was called Freedom. It's basically the song is just giving a message of freedom to everybody. We're all in this together. We're all suppressed. You know, like it doesn't matter if you're in a job, if you're in contracts with other people. We have this need to be free. You know, all of us, no matter what your race is, what your culture is, we all want to be free. You know, because essentially what's happening is that we're in a non-natural environment, like I was saying before. So I was putting that in my music, and I was putting a drive into it, and you know, I kind of want to have it the same way I have what I'm doing with occult healing is, you know, spreading it out to the masses. That it's that not all rap and hip hop is all about money, cars, and clothes and stuff like that. That there is another side to it, the tree side. There is the uplifting empowerment to all people, you know. So that's just what I put into it, you know. I want to help all people, and you know, for the kid that grew up like me, that might be in a situation right now that's not really himself. He's not being himself. He's just being like everybody else. Maybe that can inspire him to make the change. Sometimes you have to cut these people off for yourself, because they're draining you. So that's what it's for, you know. It's just for everybody.
I checked out one of those videos. What was like a behind the scenes music one that you did. I think before you made Freedom, you had this video explaining about Mirage the Illusionist and what that means. Can you tell everyone that how you found that name and why you're using it?
Okay, so how the name came about, how I started out with just Mirage at first early on. And it's funny because I actually got the name from a friend, you know, but I didn't really start thinking about what it meant until later on. But one of my friends early on, you know, he's a lot older than me at the time, because when I was younger, I was chilling with a lot of older people, you know, like 10 years older than me and stuff like that. And he was just seeing how I moved about. He was like, you know, he was like, man, you're just like, I can't explain what you are. He's like, you're just like a mirage, man. He's like, you're here, but then you're not here. You disappear, you come back. He's like, are you even real? Like, are you even here? And I'm like, and everybody was chiming in. It was like, yeah, like you are like that. And I'm like, so they was like, yo, that would be a good rap name, you know. So I kept that as the rap name at first. And then, of course, later on, I started, because everything happens for a reason, you know, and I started really getting into the secret mystery schools and knowledge and stuff, and really understanding that everything around us is a product of your imagination, of a product of your thoughts, your whole entire reality. So I really understood why I was given the name Mirage, because now I accept it. I know what it is. I know that this is an illusion. This is a product of my mental, you know, and I accept it because when it's just like how they say how a fish will never realize it's in the ocean, you know, but when you do wake up, experience consciousness, become conscious. So that's what it really means to have the name, to say this is an illusion and I realize I'm an illusion. What happened was I woke up, I became conscious. I'm the mirage who became conscious. But that's not the only thing. This is when I added the illusionist, because now that I'm awake, now that I'm conscious, now I can start manipulating this reality to my will, which we all have this power, you know. So that's kind of how it came about. Like Mirage, I am the illusion, but I'm manipulating the illusion that I created, essentially, to my will, to what I want to have. Kind of like the law of attraction tells you to do. It's the same thing, where they're telling you that you have the power to change your life, you know. So do it. Like you have the power. It takes hard work to grasp that around your brain, like, you know, because most people is blaming other external things. They're like, I can't do this, you know, because people are oppressing us. There's no oppression unless you want it to be oppression, you know. So that's what it meant for me, is that I'm manipulating the reality now to become positive. You know, I want to bring in more positive individuals. I want to change my environment to a higher frequency now, you know. So that's the main mission. So that's kind of how the name came to be.
Right on. We almost lost the audio there for a second, so I'm glad we're kind of at the end here. Because I don't like, you know, audio or picture getting cut out too long there.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it had some blips and stuff on my end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Is there anything else though before we wrap up that you wanted to shout out?
One thing I just wanted to expound upon was just, again, what it means to be conscious, you know, because I know there's a lot of people out there that claim to be conscious. I just want to really put out there that consciousness is not, you know, really reading a whole bunch of books. You know, it's not gathering a whole bunch of facts. It's more so, again, exactly what it is. The definition is awareness, you know. Are you aware of your breath? You know, are you aware of the thoughts? Are you guarding your thoughts? Are you aware of your connections with other people? You know, are you aware of what you're eating and putting inside of your body? You know, so I just want to put that out there, that this is what real consciousness means. You know, are you aware? Are the certain parts of your body, the feelings and urges that you get inside your body? Become aware of these things, and you'll gain your power again. So that's what it really means to be conscious. And I hope the people out there listening, that they will take that and run with it and change the world. You know, it's time. Like,
And I wanted to say to everyone that I went and checked out occulthealing.net last night, and you can donate, and you can also pay for readings with Mirage the Illusionist. So anyone can contact you.
yes, yes. Thank you. You can contact me. Yes, I have tarot card readings. I have astrology readings, and also health and detox readings through the phone or Skype. You know, however you choose, and I might even add on there through email as well. So that'll be coming soon. But yeah, hit me up on www.occulthealing.net. Also, Twitter at Mirage Songs 22, MIRAGE Songs 22, and also Facebook, the same thing, Mirage Songs 22. Yeah, so just hit me up and we can talk. Email me at occulthealing22@gmail.com, and we can talk some things out. I'm always open to talking to people, and you know, we can go from there.
So I want to know, do you think it would be possible that we could have more of a group hangout soon, where we could have like a panel?
Yeah, yes, yes. I would love to do that. You know, I'm all about, like I said, I'm all about connecting.
Putting the word out to my Phoenix tribe, Sedona people, Ohio people. I have a lot of healer friends in Columbus, Ohio, Mirage's tribe, to send us information if you want to like get on, and we'll have a multiple panel awakening ascension talk.
Yeah, that would be great.
Here. Awesome. All right. Well, blessings to you and your journey. Thank you.
Thank you all thank you again for bringing me out and having me on your discussion. I had fun. I hope everybody got some good information, and Hotep, Namaste, Ashe, however, you know, one love. Thank you.
Peace out, everybody.